Hi guys, time to get started to the packing of the kayak. But when it's just lying here on the floor or in the driveway, it doesn't look of much, I'm sure. I mean, at least to my eyes, it doesn't look at much. But just to give you an idea of how big this kayak is, as I've mentioned in some of the other videos, it is a 600-pound workload kayak. And it takes 2 persons without too much gear. Done it with my son, but it was really cramped. But 1 person, it handles quite well. But let me just show you how big it is. That's the size difference. Now I am 6'1", and this one is 14 feet. That's a huge difference. So and it handles very well. We got 3 psi in the pontongs. We got 6 psi in the drop stitch floor, which makes this kayak very rigid. Anyway, better get started packing it. Alright, finally got the kayak set up. Just quickly run through it to show you how I bring my things up with me. I'm not a sailor, so I would not know whether it's stern or bow, but I think actually this is stern. Stern, you have, I have my pump lying right here. I have my food, all the food basically. I mean, it's not entirely true, this is a food basket, but this is also all the snacks and the energy drinks, so I got easy access to when I'm sitting in the kayak. But all the things that I'm planning on using in camp, that is all here on the back side. So that goes for sleeping gear, it is all the food, or majority of the food, it is my kayak bag and my pump. This is all on the back side. Then I got my seat with my life vest, and I've got a hydration pack in the back of it. So I have easy access to drink just clear water. I got ample space for my legs and feet, but I know by experience that I do not like to sit in one position much, so I have to have the ability to swing my legs outside of the kayak and stuff, which is also the reason why I like a sit on top rather than a sit inside kayak. The first thing that comes here is then my battery box. I have it here. That's the waterproof box that I use for all my gear that I have to charge on the fly. In this box I have my 36,000 milliamp hour power bank, and as I said in another video where I reviewed it, well, it's a power through, so I connect these connectors to my solar panel that I have in front of my kayak, and I can through a hole here, and I can charge everything I have in here. So I also have the cradles for my Sony batteries and for my GoPro batteries in here, so all I gotta do is just let the batteries go in there and it all works. Then I got my cooling bag. It is actually a cooling bag, not that it works all that well, but it's good enough for the purpose I use it, because normally that's just the only bag I have with all my food in it. Now I have food in that, and I've got food in 2 other bags. If you want to know what food I brought along, check that food video out. And then I bring some fishing gear. I have some fairly heavy rods here that can handle, I suppose, about 40 pounds or something, and I have a significantly smaller that goes to about 4 to 8 pounds. There are snakeheads out there, and we're kind of dreaming of maybe getting some time to see if we can catch one of those. That could be interesting, but if it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I brought this along a lot. I never used it. Actually, I tried once, but it all got entangled and my fishing reel got broke on me and I couldn't do it, so I gave up. I got a fishing net, and then up here in front of the bag I have my I have a GoPro case that I just ripped out, so it's used for all my camera gear because it's waterproof. And I like that, and it's solid, so it doesn't take any hits. So that's all my camera gear. It's all the battery or water sensitive equipment. I have a similar bag here on the back, right here behind my seat actually, and that is all my camera accessories. It's like cables and chargers and lenses, no, not lenses, but filters and all these extra things that I need, tripods and whatnot. If we then move further up, because I like to have access to this, because on the fly I need to film, on the fly I need to charge my things. Then here I have got my sleeping pad. I only use that if I have to use my tent solution, if I use my hammock solution. I don't use it, but I also like to have it as a kind of a surface to use to put my things on if it's get muddy or if it gets very wet and rainy or whatnot. As you can see here, I've got my 35 watt solar panel mounted on the front. I have some bungee cords that makes it fit in place. And underneath the solar panel, I have, just show you, underneath here I got a mylar blanket. It is a pretty good one, and I used to have that to put my things on it when I, for instance, use a tent solution, because I just like my things clean. But underneath that I have got my 3x3 DD tarp, I have got a Helinox camp chair, and I got my small 200 baht hammock. And this is simply because when I go out there at a certain time, I might need a break. And at the breaks, then there's a few things that I might need there. There is my, there might be a chair, there might be some quick options for cover for rain, or I might have options where I can just use my cheap hammock as a lounger and I can relax there. So it takes split seconds, and the first thing that hits land usually is the front of my kayak. And if I have it up there without being in a bag or anything like, it's easy accessible. Now it's relatively protected there because of the solar panel in terms of rain, but even so, it is not things that I would be hurt if got wet, because we're talking about the small hammock, not my sleeping hammock, and we're talking about rain fly, which obviously should be able to get wet, and my chair is not a disaster either if it gets wet. So all the things that I need access to for a 30-minute break, it is up there, and including goes right underneath there is a like kind of a bulkhead underneath the bow here, and I also got a bag there, and there I got all my cooking gear. Because obviously, since I do have some portions of food in here, if I stop for a 30 minutes break or an hour break for breakfast or for lunch, it is easy accessible. This is all for more permanent camping. This is all for immediate use. Separating it like that just makes it so much easier. So yeah, some other videos I've shown you that I usually have these mount here. I use them for camera gears, I use them for cup holders, and I use them for various things, but I've started getting a little bit annoyed about them, so I ended up taking them off. The screws were not really sticking properly to it, so they were more in their way, and they were actually making any good for me. So this is how I do it. There's one thing that I have in here, you probably already wrapped it up, and that's a new addition to my pack. It's a big sponge. Because sometimes, and not sometimes, but quite often when you're paddling, you will shovel a little bit of water in your kayak, and doing 1,000 strokes you'll end up with a lot of water in your kayak. Now it doesn't matter, since I have got a relatively big drop stitch floor, so I won't be wet like that, but I just don't like that extra carries of weight, and a big sponge is a really fantastic way to bail the water out, since I don't have a pump, and it's not that much. I have self-bailing holes in this kayak, both on both ends and in the middle of the kayak here, but it's not something that I'm using because when this kayak is loaded up, the bottom of the kayak is significantly below the surface of the water, so if I open them up I would flood my kayak rather than bail the water out. But I suppose it's good if you're doing white water. So yeah guys, this is my setup. I have that mylar blanket with the silver side upwards on top of my things there, because the solar panel gets very hot. So I like to keep a little bit of distance, and also like to see if I can keep a little bit of air flowing underneath it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see you out there. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you want to follow me on the trip through Ping National Park. I'm looking forward to it. And I know that Ronnie, that I'm going together with, is also looking very much forward to it. And it's going to be a blast of a trip. I mean, it doesn't matter what we end up doing. We will get out there and we will have a lot of fun. So until next time, stay curious.